There's something undeniably captivating about the world of heists and high-stakes robberies. From big Hollywood blockbusters to true crime documentaries, we find ourselves drawn to the thrill, the strategy, and the audacity of those who dare to pull off the perfect crime. Take the Hatton Garden heist, for example, where a group of elderly thieves meticulously tunneled their way into an underground safe deposit facility, making off with millions in jewels and cash. Or the Millennium Dome heist in 2000, where a gang of thieves attempted to steal one of the world's largest diamonds in a plot so audacious you would be forgiven for believing it had come straight out of a movie. In learning about these incredible heists, one can't help but wonder, how are these daring crimes orchestrated? What goes on behind the scenes on the criminal side of things? What does the planning look like? What skills are needed to pull it off? And how do they navigate the razor-thin line between success and capture? Well, in 2004, Channel 4 set out to answer these exact questions with a bold experiment of their own, a reality show called The Heist. This show didn't just speculate on how a crime might be pulled off, it put the concept to the test, inviting real ex-criminals to plan and carry out heists under the watchful eyes of the cameras. In this video, we're going to take a look back at this intriguing show, reliving the heists the ex-criminals were challenged with executing, and how the show's creators brought the thrill of planning the perfect crime to life. Before we start, if you enjoy this sort of content, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel and give this video a little thumbs up. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member, where Nostalgia Nights get a shout out in each video and early access to all future videos. Thanks everyone, and let's get started. Channel 4 in the 2000s became known for its bold, unconventional, and sometimes controversial programming, often pushing the boundaries of reality TV and social experiments. The network developed a reputation for creating shows that explored the darker, more taboo aspects of society, often with a unique twist that set them apart from more mainstream offerings. Some examples include shows like Faking It, where ordinary people were thrust into entirely new lives to see if they could convincingly adopt a different persona, Shattered, which tested the limits of human endurance by depriving contestants of sleep, Wife Swap, which exposed the cultural and social divides between families by swapping wives from different backgrounds, and Brat Camp, where troubled teenagers were sent to tough wilderness programs in a last-ditch effort to reform their behavior. These shows were not just about entertainment, they were social experiments that challenged viewers to confront uncomfortable realities and consider the complexities of human behavior. This brings us to The Heist. The show was the brainchild of documentary maker David Glover and filmmaker Rudolf Herzog, who were thinking about some of the great heist movies of the past, such as The Lady Killers and The Lavender Hill Mob, and thought to themselves, why don't we do this for real? Recruit our own gang of real criminal masterminds and get them to try robbing places. It was a bold idea, something that had never been done before, and thinking that they were onto something, work quickly began on developing the show. The overall premise of the heist was to test the security of high-profile targets by having a group of ex-criminals plan and attempt a simulated robbery, blending the tension and excitement of a heist film with the real-world challenge of outsmarting modern security systems. The team of 5 former criminals were tasked with planning every detail of each heist, from its initial reconnaissance to the final getaway, with their every move being documented by the cameras. The show gave viewers a rare insight into the minds of those who had once lived on the other side of the law, showcasing the meticulous planning, quick thinking, and nerve required to pull off such daring feats. As there were only 3 episodes in total, let's take a look back at each one, reliving the heists the team were tasked with pulling off, the strategies they employed, and the hurdles they encountered along the way. The first episode is called Art Attack, indicating that this first heist is the robbery of a painting. The painting in question is The View from the Bandstand by Andrew Gifford, one of Britain's most collectible artists. At the top of the episode, we're introduced to the team of ex-criminals who will be attempting the heists in this series. First, we have Terry Smith, one of Britain's most prolific armed robbers, known for a string of high-profile robberies of bank vaults and security vans. After once escaping from prison, he was one of Britain's most wanted men, but is now reformed and working as an author. Next is Matthew Bevan, a hacker with no criminal convictions who had been accused of breaking into the computer systems of NATO, NASA, the Pentagon, and the Korean and Chinese militaries. Giving an international feel to the team is Arno Funk, a German national working as a satirical cartoonist who used to be an extortionist. In his criminal past, he planted bombs in department stores timed to go off when no one was around, then demanded huge ransoms. He became infamous for the brilliant gadgets and devices he employed to collect the ransom money and outwit authorities. Next is Peter Scott, described as a former gentleman thief. While committing crimes as a cat burglar, Peter stole over £40 million worth of diamonds, fur coats, and paintings. Nicknamed the Human Fly, he was a regular visitor to movie stars' bedrooms. And finally, we have the boss of the gang, Joey Pyle, a former gangster and friend of the infamous Cray twins, who were prominent in the late 50s and 60s. He had convictions for GBH and drug smuggling, but at the time of the show was working in music industry management. These 5 would be our team of criminals for the heist, putting their combined talent to use in attempting the challenges set before them. The painting they are targeting is due to be exhibited in 4 days at the Business Design Centre in Islington, which will play host to a huge art exhibition with over £40 million worth of art on display. The man in charge of overall security at the exhibition knows that a heist is going to take place, but has agreed not to tell any of his security guards in an attempt to test the security that has been laid on for the exhibition. He is quietly confident that they will catch the robbers in the act. Just across the street on a top-floor room, the team begin their initial preparations. Peter, an expert in the robbery of priceless artworks, says that cutting the painting out of its frame is too risky, and instead thinks a quick snatch and grab may be the best option. Matthew remarks that he would like to analyze what technology the security have employed, such as security radios and door alarms, to see if that will lead to a way in. Arno suggests that they set up their own exhibition of paintings inside the venue, thinking that no one will suspect a fellow exhibitor of plotting to steal another painting. And finally, Terry suggests a more direct approach, ramming through the back doors and grabbing the painting with force. The team then go in for a closer look. Peter, equipped with a hidden camera, blags his way into the venue to scope the place out, while Arno looks for opportunities to intercept the painting as it's arriving at or leaving the exhibition. Matthew, looking at the surveillance that exists around the venue, poses as a PR agent and is able to secure a guided tour of the facility, gaining vital knowledge. And Terry enters the venue incognito, looking for places to hide and potential exit points. He surmises that it might be possible to quickly exit out of the alarmed back doors and into a getaway vehicle, as the streets nearby are very quiet. Following this, the team meets again to decide on a plan of action. Joey, the boss of the gang, remarks on liking a few of the ideas but isn't set on which plan they should go through with. They learn that the painting will be exhibited near the edge of the main hall, close to some exit points, and decide to go and see the painting in situ on the first day of the exhibition before deciding on the final plan. Peter and Terry go into the exhibition on opening night, posing as general punters, to catch a glimpse of the painting on display. Terry explores the outer limits of the building and notices a window close to where the painting is situated and thinks this may be the perfect entry and exit point. Peter and Terry both eventually think that this is the best place for the painting to be smuggled out of, and the next day the team meets and decides that this is the best plan to steal the painting. The plan is to go in the early hours of the morning, climb up through this window, into the gallery, take the painting, and come back out through the window. In order for this plan to be successful, however, Terry says that first the bolts on the windows need to be cut in order to make them easier to open from the outside. So that night, they head back into the venue with a grinder, hoping to find an opportune moment to cut the bolts on the window and make a quick exit, setting everything up for the heist the next morning. But just as they're getting ready to cut the window bolts, they spot a security guard on the stairs on his break, making it impossible for them to cut the bolts without getting getting caught. They instead decide to simply undo the bolts on the windows and hope that they are opened the following morning during the robbery attempt. In the early hours of the following morning, the team begin their attempt to steal the painting. They first approach the back window posing as window cleaners. Arno is the one who has been tasked with actually entering the premises to steal the painting, but he is unable to get the window open. Terry is eventually able to force the window open and Arno enters the premises. He then creeps his way towards the painting, being careful to avoid any guards who may be patrolling. He is able to make his way to the painting, take it off the wall, and walk back towards the window. The painting is then passed out of the window to Terry, and the two make their escape in a white transit getaway van parked nearby. The heist is complete, and our team have the painting. The next challenge is to cash in on their heist, but selling a well-known stolen painting is no easy feat, so instead they decide to attempt to claim a reward for its return from the insurance company. The insurance company has some concerns, however, as they're worried about potentially paying off the very criminals who stole the painting in the first place. The team place a call to these insurance brokers and attempt to make a deal with them for the return of the painting. And in order to alleviate the insurance company's concerns about paying off criminals directly, the team decide to offer an intermediary, a lawyer, to receive the payment on their behalf, essentially bypassing any legal issues the insurance company may be concerned about. Despite this, the negotiations for the safe return of the painting break down, and our first episode ends with the narrator explaining that if this were a real-life robbery, the painting would likely remain in criminal hands, where it may be used at some point in the future as a pawn in a criminal game of betrayal. In any case, for us, this is the end of the first episode of The Heist. Episode 2 is titled £1 Million Car and sees the team attempt to steal the prototype of the new TVR Sagaris, which is being displayed at a popular motor show in London before being transported to a disused Air Force base for testing. At the start of the episode, the team throw around some different ideas as to how they could possibly steal such an expensive car, including stopping the truck transporting the car when it's in transit, and even breaking into the airbase once the car has been delivered there. Joey divides the gang into two teams to explore potential plans. First, Peter and Terry head to the airbase to scope the place out, and notice that while the front of the building is well guarded, the back gate is wide open. They drive in for a look around and realize that while getting into the disused airbase may be easy, knowing which hangar the car will be stored in is impossible, making this an unviable option. We also get a glimpse of the increased security measures being put in place in order to protect the car after it arrives at the hangar, including infrared sensors and alarms. We then see Matthew and Arno back at the motor show at Earl's Court, investigating if it might be possible to steal the car while it's being exhibited there, and to check if the car has any tracking devices. However, it seems that there are too many people around for stealing the car at the show to be a viable option. Back at the team's base, Matthew demonstrates how it would be possible to locate the car's GPS tracking system and disable it. He also plans on putting a tracking device on the lorry that will be transporting the car from the motor show to the airbase, enabling them to track its journey. A little later, we see Matthew planting this exact device on the roof of the lorry as Arno keeps a lookout. With the team decided on stopping the lorry as it's transporting the car to the airbase, Terry heads out on the roads to devise a plan. Based on his background, he is the best man to come up with a viable plan to steal the car. On his journey, he spots a roadside worker standing holding a stop-go sign directing traffic and gets an idea. What if they could erect a fake security checkpoint near the base, stop the lorry on its way into the base, and steal the car from there? With the almost non-existent security at the back gate of the base, Terry reasons that this would be the best place to carry out the heist, and it looks as though the team's plan is starting to come together. Joey likes this idea and puts forward his godson Mitch to play the part of the security guard. The rest of the team then get to work on making the final preparations. On the day of the heist, after a quick meeting at a nearby hotel, the team is ready. Mitch gets himself into his security guard uniform, and the team erect the fake security checkpoint directly in front of the back gate to the disused airbase. With Matthew tracking the lorry's movements thanks to the GPS tracker he planted earlier, the team lie in wait until the lorry arrives at the base. We are told that a hidden camera has been installed in the cab of the lorry and that the driver genuinely has no idea that a heist is about to take place. The lorry then pulls up to the security checkpoint and the heist is on. Mitch heads out to speak to the driver before going back to his post to answer a fake phone call. He then convinces the driver that he is at the wrong gate and that there's someone on the phone who wants to speak with him. The driver gets out of the cab, walks into the security box, and is grabbed by the rest of the team who are lying in wait. And just like that, the lorry and the £1 million car inside have been stolen. We are told that the lorry driver was immediately told that this wasn't real and was being filmed for a TV show, and he agrees to play along as if this was a real heist. The gang drive the lorry to a nearby safe house to quickly remove the car's tracking device before it's activated, and with that, the car has disappeared into the criminal underworld. Back at the airbase, the security are dumbfounded as to how someone could just steal a huge articulated lorry with a £1 million car inside. They interview the lorry driver to find out what he knows, and I think the show did a good job here in conveying what the police would have done in such a situation, gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses. To close the episode, we see Terry as he attempts to get the car out of the country. He arrives at the port to board the ferry and is able to get through, no questions asked. The lorry then boards the ship and sails off towards Belgium. The team of criminals have gotten away with it once again. The third and final episode is called Horse Trading, and the challenge is for the gang to steal a potential champion racehorse called Lucky Harry. However, this episode is a little bit different to the other two, as the actual heist is over within the first few minutes of the episode. We don't really get to see much of the horse actually getting stolen, as this episode instead focuses on the team's ability to secure the largest possible ransom for the safe return of the horse. This process starts when Joey makes a call to Lucky Harry's owner to tell him that the horse has been stolen, a call that makes the owner quite shocked. A team of police negotiators are put on the case to help the owner get the horse back, led by Clint Van Zandt, a genuine former special agent with the FBI, who was their chief hostage negotiator. Clint talks strategy with the horse's owner, recounting an occasion when he once convinced a plane hijacker to give himself up for a pack of cigarettes. So we know Clint is the real deal here. Among the others in the hostage negotiation team are a number of speech experts who will be analysing the calls they receive from our team of kidnappers. The gang then make their first ransom call, in which Joey and Clint argue about the terms of a potential ransom being paid for the horse. Clint demands proof that the horse is alive, but Joey first wants to agree on a ransom amount. Eventually, Joey hangs up the call in frustration. The recording of this call is then loaded into special forensic software for analysis, and the negotiators listen closely for anomalies that may reveal more about Joey's identity. One of the hostage negotiators, an expert in voice analysis, notices some interesting artifacts in Joey's speech, helping to narrow down where he may be from. Joey calls back for a second time and is much more forceful this time, demanding £500,000 for the safe return of the horse. Clint again demands to have proof that the horse is alive, but Joey, getting more and more frustrated, tells Clint that this is the offer he has to consider and hangs up once again. On the third ransom call, Clint reveals that they have managed to put together £125,000 of the money, but Joey says that's not enough. Clint continues to demand proof that the horse is alive and well, and Joey says that they're working on it and will send such proof the following day. But Joey wants to know more about Clint, who he is, and why he's getting involved in this situation. But Clint gives nothing away, and simply says he is a friend of the owner who is helping out. We then cross over to Arno, who is out looking for the perfect place for the ransom money to be dropped so that the gang can collect the money without being caught. As a former extortionist, this is one of Arno's specialties, and we see him checking out a train station, looking down into the bowels of the city, and even scoping out a flower market, but he can't find the right place. The next day, the gang send the proof of life video to the owner of the horse, and during the 4th ransom call, Joey and Clint argue back and forth over the ransom amount, with Clint attempting to convince Joey to take a lower amount, claiming that as a farmer, the owner is not capable of putting together £500,000. But the gang are clued into what is going on though. They know that Clint is not a friend of the owner, he is a skilled negotiator who is attempting to pull the strings. But Clint then makes a very interesting offer. £200,000 now, and then £50,000 of the winnings after the horse hopefully wins the next race it competes in. Despite being an intriguing offer, Joey immediately shoots this idea down. So Clint comes back with another offer of £225,000, and after discussing with the gang, they decide to go for it. We return to Arno as he searches for the perfect spot to drop the money, and from his hotel room in Camden, he spots the ideal location just outside his window, and he and Terry go and scout it out. They go under a nearby bridge, and after looking around, they come up with an ingenious plan. The money will be stashed in an electrical box at the bottom of a set of stairs under the bridge, and the gang will then create a hole in the wall behind the box, allowing them to retrieve the cash from the other side without ever being seen. The next morning, the negotiators gather early to finalize the plan for the money drop and the hopeful subsequent capture of the gang. The gang has instructed the bagman, the one delivering the money, to wait at a nearby payphone for further instructions. However, rather than calling the payphone itself, from which their call could easily be traced, the gang have placed a mobile phone inside the payphone for him to answer. With this, they are able to guide him to the drop location. Meanwhile, Arno suits up in a wetsuit, ready to retrieve the money when the drop is made. As Joey gives the bagman instructions on where to go, the negotiators follow closely behind, tracking his every move. Joey sends him on a long winding route through the streets and across a car park towards the drop location. When the bagman gets close, he finds arrows on the ground placed by the gang to guide him. He heads down the stairs and is told to put the money in the black electrical box and walk away. With the money in the box, we cut to Arno, who is on the other side of the wall, and he carefully removes the wooden cover from the hole he made and pulls the cash out from inside the metal box. With the money secured, Arno and Terry make their escape, speeding up the river on a jet ski. But the negotiators have a tracker in the money and eventually spot the jet ski racing up the river. Arno jumps off and meets up with Matthew, and together they run under a nearby bridge out of sight and back up to the road where a getaway car is waiting. Meanwhile, Terry stays on the jet ski, trying to lure the negotiators away from where the money really is. He reaches another bridge further up the river and is also able to successfully escape. And with that, the gang have successfully completed the final heist. This episode closes with the narrator telling us that the money had actually been treated with a bank robbery spray, and 8 hours later the money turned red, rendering it useless. The horse was eventually returned to its owner, and 2 weeks later the horse ran its first race, with the gang in attendance to watch its victory. And with that, the heist was over. Overall, I quite enjoyed the heist. There's no getting away from the fact that the show was in some ways walking a fine line between entertainment and glorification. But its unique concept and the thrill of watching these former criminals put their skills to the test made for compelling viewing. The heist offered a rare glimpse into the meticulous planning and psychological tactics involved in high-stakes robberies, all within the safety of a controlled environment. In the end, it's clear that while the heists were completely fictional, the skills and strategies on display were very real, and the show reminded us of just how thin the line is between success and failure in these daring escapades. If you haven't seen it before, The Heist is definitely worth a watch. Thanks for watching everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing for more deep dives into the fascinating world of television history. There will be plenty more interesting and nostalgic content coming in the future, and I'd love for you all to come along on the ride. Thanks again everyone, and see you in the next video.